Hello, everyone. Welcome to Word Funk. I'm Leon Thomas, and I'm joined by Johnny Maloney and Austin Yorsky. We're recording this on a Sunday afternoon. We decided to have a nooner, and that is there was a thing that it had to be postponed.
We didn't really decide to have a nooner. It just kind of happened, like most nooners do.
So if there's any weird audio qualities, it's because the vibes aren't normally right. Normally the planets align, and we check the ley lines to get maximum vocal quality.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
absolutely.
And
this time,
it being a Sunday, there's no construction outside of my apartment, so I am actually much less aggravated than I normally am.
Yeah.
You guys are getting prime calm Johnny, 100% naturally gluten free.
Yeah, plus we're working on the Sabbath, so that means that this podcast is going to be extra sinful.
Isn't Saturday the Sabbath?
No, I mean if you're Jewish, sure.
No, Sunday's the day of worship, right?
I'm gonna.
Oh my God! Sunday is the Sabbath if you're a Christian, unless you're a Seventh-day Adventist, in which case it's like different. Jewish Sabbath starts Friday night at sundown and then continues on into Saturday.
I just I was under the impression, right, that Sunday was the first day of the week.
Yes.
So that
this is a weird conversation.
So I mean, it's the first. That's the most important day. So that's when you worship.
It's the first day of the week.
Bow down!
It's the first day of the week according to our current calendar, but in the Bible, the seventh day is the Sabbath is like the last day, because that's the day that God rested. And we're supposed to rest too. But it's like, whatever.
But if you don't, that makes you stronger than God.
All right. So I guess this is it, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen. This is the day that we, the hosts of Word Funk, overtake the throne of God.
He knew it was coming.
Happy Labor Day.
Yeah. Speaking of weird planetary stuff and God, did you fellows know that there is a moon bishop?
Well, we've already established an anti-pope, so I guess I'm not that surprised.
Yeah, no, this is an actual thing. This is my Pope corner for this week.
Your papal update.
Yeah. So basically, a long time ago, we decided to go to the moon, and there is a bishop, and his name is Bishop William Borders, and he met up with the Pope not long after we did the moon landing, and he told the Pope, by the way, just in case you wanted to know, I am Bishop of the Moon now, and it's because basically he was the first bishop of Orlando, and when Apollo 11 launched, there's this rule that says that newly discovered territory falls under the bishopric, from whence the discovering expedition.
Is that a technical term? Bishopric?
I'm trying to pronounce it. Yes.
Yes, it is.
From whence the discovering expedition departed. So that means that this guy became bishop of the moon. I don't know who's moon bishop right now. I don't know if this guy is still around.
Well,
it's been a while.
It passes from Floridian priest to Floridian priest, and as you know, I am an ordained Episcopalian minister. So, for purposes of Word Funk, I just want to say I will take responsibility for the moon.
Okay.
So, I haven't been to Orlando in a while, but I can stop by, check in.
Yeah, this is a Catholic thing, so I don't know if you're...
Austin, I'm like, work with me here. Does that only work for people who land at certain places, or can you just take responsibility for everything that the Voyager probe has taken photos of? So are you do you have ministerial duties over the giant red spot on Jupiter?
I mean, at a certain point, we're playing Calvin ball, right? Because nobody owns anything in space, because part of ownership is the ability to either physically control or control the access to a thing.
Right.
So, as far as anyone's concerned, I own Neptune. Who are you to say otherwise?
Right. Austin, but we did put a flag there, and by moon law, that means that America has a claim on the moon.
I can put a flag on your mom. What does that mean?
I am really
nothing.
sorry to let you guys know. All right. But the Intergalactic Federation of Johnny owns the space between all these astral bodies.
Oh,
so
that's pretty good.
Yeah, you're gonna have to pay a minor tax, not in money. Just so we're clear, because I'm not a monster.
Firm handshakes.
Just firm handshakes and molasses.
Yeah, Austin, I feel like you need to brush up on flag law a little bit more in your classes.
I mean, you joke, but in the first day of property class, we literally, like, the first thing we talked about on the first day was who owns, like, the moon, and there's a case of a guy who sent a bill to NASA for parking because they parked in his spot on the moon, according to him, and obviously they didn't pay it, but it's just like who gets to decide who owns what is, like, an actual legal question people spend a lot of time thinking about, and have since, like, you know, the beginning of the written word, so...
Yeah, until we well, the reason this is important now, not important, but the reason this came up now is that Mike Pence, our vice president and like arch Christian, said that we are establishing a lunar base. This is not going to happen. This is just a thing he's saying. And so I guess, like, now that there might actually be people there, whoever is Moon Bishop now will have, like, a proper, you know, parish, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, the whole thing about all of that is we could sign any treaties you want. We could say, you know, the Netherlands owns the moon, but as soon as America gets up there, unless you have bigger moon guns, America owns the moon. That's, at the end of the day, that's how that's going to work out.
All I
want to
everyone
know. Else.
All I want to know, as a neighboring nation to America, is whether or not the Space Force is going to have a bitchin' theme song like G.I. Joe.
This is actually old news. We didn't record on Wednesday. I'm kind of glad because I was dreading the fact that we're all going to get on here and make edgy jokes about John McCain, and we dodged that bullet, but somehow we're thrown back in time, and now we're talking about the Space Force from like 3 weeks ago. So
yeah.
I'm not talking about the Space Force. I just want to know if they're going to have a bitchin' theme song. That's all. Because, I think it's ridiculous, but if you hit me with a banger, I'll be like, you go, Space Force.
I feel like every couple days, some Republican gets denounced by the band whose music they were using at their rallies. That happens like constantly. Because they're just like, oh, that's a cool song, and I am a cool person. I'll use it. And the bands are like, no, I hate you.
All they really have to do is just start using like Kids Bop or like you know Kids Bop or something like that. And I mean, everybody will be like, yeah, that sounds about right.
The absolute best example of this was Paul Ryan, who said his favorite band is Rage Against the Machine because they like symbolize freedom and small government values. And Tom Morello of Rage Against the Machine said Paul Ryan is the embodiment of everything our music stands against.
Yep.
Imagine getting personally dunked on by your musical hero. If you were just like, oh, I love the Beatles. And Paul McCartney's like, you're a wanker. Just straight up.
I imagine, it probably happens to the Republicans more often than not.
Yeah.
I mean, it has to, because people write music about things like, love and kindness and rebellion and stuff, but nobody writes music about, like, low taxes. Like, that's, like, their values just don't have any artistic vision. They don't have any, like, quality that stirs human emotion.
I'm sure there's a song out there that's, like, just a heartbreaking ballad about the estate tax.
No, I mean, it exists. It just sucks shit.
Yeah. I mean,
all their art just sucks absolute dick.
There's nothing in it, I'm sure, that makes the heart soar, Mm-hmm. It's not like fields of wheat, land of green. I wish my money came back clean from the government.
Yeah, there's like a meme going around about people talking about the national anthem and how it doesn't even slap and comparing it to other songs, which do. My
other favorite one going around right now is your Beto O'Rourke, pardon me.
O'Rourke, yeah, Beto.
Down in Texas. How the fucking Republican Party was like, he doesn't want to debate Ted Cruz because he was in a band with a dude from At the Drive-In.
Only the coolest fucking band of all time.
Like, for fuck's sakes, man. Like, let me dunk on you by saying that you were in a band with fucking, like, David Byrne.
Yeah, it's wild. That thing particularly, like, trying to attack his credibility by making him extremely cool.
Yeah, no, no shit. And
yeah.
then did you see the fucking photo that they put up?
Yeah.
The Ted Cruz photo?
Uh-huh.
Of, like, wanted.
Yes.
Where
Yeah, like a cigarette.
Like, tats everywhere.
The absolute worst.
That was too much.
I'm surprised you never... I love you, Johnny. I was surprised you never talked about At the Drive-In before. They're extremely good.
Oh, I respect their musical ability. I could never get into their mood, you know?
I mean, yeah, it's a very technical band, but them and Mars Volta, obviously.
Yeah, I could that like whole math rock kind of, which is weird because I'm a huge fan of Rob Crow, and he's very math rock, but
Dice Funk fans know that the antagonist of Dice Funk Season 2 was named after the singer of those bands. Mm-hmm. So that's cool.
Yep.
Anyway.
Billy?
Huh? Yeah, it was Billy. No, my name, not your name. Okay. I don't think that would have been impressive if you had come up with that as a reference to Mars Volta and At the Drive-In, but no. Cedric Bixler Zavala is his name. Do you guys want to talk about movies and video games and boners and stuff?
I watched half of Atomic Blonde this week.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, just half? Which half?
The first half.
Okay.
20 minutes from the first act.
And then
20 minutes
I
in a
had
second.
to pause it. That's a busy movie.
Okay.
It's a busy movie.
Okay.
I don't know if it was my mood at the time. I'm gonna go back to it, right? But it was just like, it was busy.
Okay.
You know, Charlize Theron would sit in a room, and then John Goodman and Toby, I don't know, Frushtick, I think his name is, Toby Frushtick, I don't know, would, like, you know, repeat the same question at her. She would smoke a cigarette and look, like, with extreme shade at the mirror. And then you'd get a scene of her in her hotel room, and then she would go somewhere, have a cryptic conversation with somebody, and then just have a fucking amazing fight scene. And like, at the end of it, I would be like, what just happened? Why did she go there? What's going on? And then, like, no shits. The movie would just be like, nah, we're moving on. Fuck you, dude. And then James McAvoy would show up and smoke a cigarette and say something snide. And then it would start all over again, like the cycle, right? I watched like 75 minutes of that movie, and I'm still not sure what happened, except that Charlize Theron, Ms. Theron, kicked a shit ton of ass.
That's cool. I hear mixed things basically about that movie.
The fight choreography is fantastic. The soundtrack is way on the nose. Like every 80s song that you're ever like, and they pulled a cardinal sin as far as I'm concerned. There's a shitty cover of Blue Monday by New Order in there, and I was like, no, you just use the regular Blue Monday. That's, you just don't. But it's busy. It's busy.
Okay.
There's only one other movie that I've ever had to pause halfway through because I just had too much movie in my eyeballs, and that was Transformers 2.
Well, that's busy on a whole other level. There's so much on screen.
I'm not saying that Atomic Blonde and Transformers 2 are on the same plateau here. But that's how busy this movie was. How, like, I looked away for a minute, and then it just, you know, like I had a bag of groceries all of a sudden. And it was like, check the eggs.
Transformers 2 does this thing where it overloads your brain with so much content on the screen that you can't possibly enjoy any of it. There's just a bit too much for your brain to process. That's my review. That's my review of Transformers 2, if you want it.
Right on.
Cool.
I also finally watched It.
Oh, okay. So, like the new one?
Yes.
Okay. What'd you think?
It was good.
Okay. Yeah, I feel the same way.
Next!
It was great. I have tons of stuff, but Austin hasn't had a chance. So
no, I was just sitting back and enjoying that sterling rapport. You guys have been doing this for years. Really professional podcasting, just people who know each other's timing and love riffing, that good shit.
I don't
that's
know
the
what
thing.
to say. I watched half a movie. All right.
Yeah,
I watched half a movie, and I'm still feeling a little bit. It was like 2 days ago. I watched half of this movie, and I'm not completely prepared to deal with it yet. Okay.
Yeah, the thing about podcasting is, like, I try really hard not to talk over people, but that doesn't always work all the time. Sometimes I just do anyway. But sometimes at the times that I try not to talk over anyone, no one else is talking. So I was like, oh shit, fuck. I can't see your lips move, so I don't know if you're about to talk. And that is the way it works. I have tons of other stuff, but again, like Austin, if you have something, you can go ahead. Otherwise, I will just jump right into my thing.
We spent 2 minutes talking about it if you're going to talk. Just masters at work. What did you do, Leon? I need to know. Please.
Oh, I played a couple video games.
I don't believe you.
Okay. The first one is one I talked about before, so I'll get into that now. I've been playing Octopus Traveler, and it is good, but I'm going to spend my entire time talking about the thing I don't like about it. Because that's my brand, I guess. So the game is fun and it looks good, and it lets me, feel like I'm playing an old JRPG at the SNES again. The problem is that, and this makes me feel shitty for saying it, the novelty of the game, the unique part of the game, is the part I like the least so far. For those who don't know, in Octopath Traveler, unlike a regular console-based RPG where you start off as one character and then you meet other characters along the way and they become friends and you have interactions with these other characters and you're all striving towards the same goal, but you all have your little side quest to do. Octopath Traveler is different. You start with a character, and this character has their own completely independent mission to accomplish, and there is no singular goal for everyone to meet. And
so there's no big bad then.
There's absolutely no big bad, and also there is no actual interaction between the characters. You can meet other characters and make them part of your party so they can have fight scenes together to fight monsters together, but they never talk to each other and never have anything to do with each other. And this bothers me for a few reasons. First of all, I can't ship anyone. My characters will never kiss. And that's bullshit to me. I like playing JRPGs where, like, they all have to defeat the evil with the power of friendship, and they are not friends. They cannot talk to each other, ever, as far as I can tell. The other problem I have with this is that, I started with a character named Primrose, and she has, like, a cool backstory where, like, she was a noble when she was a child, but then her father was murdered by these 3 masked people, and they all have the same tattoo, and she saw what they were, and then she's been searching for them her whole life, and that's led her to be, like, an exotic dancer, because that's something she has to do in this town in order to find them. And then she kills her pimp, and it's great. And then she has to embark on a mission to find these 3 dudes. And I'm like, this is great. I can't wait to get into the next chapter of this story. But here's the thing. She's like, by the time you finish the first chapter of that story and you kill the pimp, you're like at level 3 or 4. And you have to be at like level 21 in order to get to the second chapter of her story. Which means you either have to level grind forever in order to do it, or you can spend some time like meeting the other 7 characters, but you don't meet them. You just start their mission and you work with them and gain levels with them. Mm-hmm. And so for eight consecutive times now, I've started chapter 1 of all of these other people's story. And it's like, I just want to get to chapter 2 of Primrose's story over here, for one thing. And for another thing, there's like 8 stories. I don't remember the details of all of them. By the time I start chapter 2 of like some other guy's story, I'm like, wait, what was he doing again? If the game, so because of this, the game has this very start-stop, like, motion to everything.
And there's no like last time on Primrose.
No. As far as I can tell, it's just not like that. So I feel like I've started what feels like the game over 8 times now. And like my Primrose keeps progressing in levels, and so do the other characters that I bring along on my journey. But again, it's like it doesn't feel appealing to me to grab all these other characters like one at a time. I don't know. I'm not feeling that aspect of the game. And that is the game. Like that's the whole game is centered around this novel idea where like it's different from other JRPGs. And I don't know. And that's the odd thing about this. Once I get to chapter 2 of Primrose's story, the next thing is going to be, I think, like, I can't do chapter 3 of her story until she's like level 40 or something.
Right.
So I'm just going to have to like start, stop in every single one of my characters' stories, or just grind monotonously up until like level 40 or so I can do chapter 3 of her story. And admittedly, I haven't hit chapter 2 of anyone's story yet. So I might feel completely differently a week from now. But as it stands right now, I'm not feeling this part of the game. This whole thing the game is centered around. And I don't know, like if I finish Primrose's story, I might be like, I'm done now. I don't need to go through all 7 other of these guys anymore. Or I might feel, I don't know. But like right now, it's like, it's a slog.
The game was roundly criticized for not having a cohesion between the individual stories, which are supposedly pretty good. But apparently, and this wasn't in all the early reviews because not all the people got that far. It's a very long game, but apparently there is later some collision of the disparate elements but it takes like, I don't know, 80 hours to get to. Like you have to do everybody's stories.
I play 20 minutes a day, dude. I'm not ready. I'm not willing to do that.
Yeah. I mean, the game is designed where you play chapter 1 of the character story, then chapter 1 of the next, chapter 1 of the next, chapter 1 of the next. You do all 8, and then chapter 2 of 1, then chapter 2, then chapter 2 of all 8, and then, that's how you're supposed to do it. And at the end, something happens. I don't know. I haven't played it. But it kind of seems like you're like, I'm playing Doom, and I really like the graphics, but I'm not really into killing demons.
Right.
It's like, it is kind of what the game's about.
I know, I understand that, and that's the problem. Like, I like a lot of this game, but the central core of this game is the only thing I don't like, and that's really disheartening. And I feel kind of shitty saying it because, like, I want games to try new things, sure, but but deep down, I think I would have liked this game more if it had been more traditional, and that's. I don't know. And yeah, sure, like at the end of the game, they might all say like, wait a minute, we're going to get off Final Fantasy VIII, and we all knew each other when we were kids, and we all do have a shared past. And it's like, yeah, it's too late. It's too late. Who's going to kiss each other now? This is bullshit. So, I don't know. I don't want to dump on this game, because I am having some fun with it, but I don't feel compelled to get through all 8 of their stories, because I don't care about all 8 of them. I like 3 or 4 of them a lot. Like I like Primrose, I like Therion, and I like one more, the Priestess, and
that's out of 10, says IGN.
Yeah, so anyway, that's my I'm still on chapter 1 of everyone's goddamn story report on Octopath Traveler. I did play one more game, but this is just dumb. I downloaded Fortnite on
Hell yeah,
Switch.
Millennial Leon. That's what they call him.
God.
Follow his Twitch, Renegade Cut at twitch.tv.com/headshots.
Yeah. Here's the thing about me playing a game. Well, there is a single player version where you could pay for it, but I'm not going to do that. So I just downloaded the free multiplayer version of the game that apparently everyone prefers. God, I hate this. I hate multiplayer games.
Leon, it's like you're doing it on purpose. Like the two most popular games of your lifetime are Minecraft and Fortnite, and you're like, I specifically, if I had to pick two things I hate more than every other,
right? So the thing is, like, okay, so I was just like, well, this is free, I might as well try it. When I play a video game, I want to be in my own little world. I've never experienced this before because I've like never played a multiplayer game outside of like a very early MMO a long time ago, but this is the first time I played a game where people have like headsets on and shit. I didn't have a headset on at all. I wasn't even prepared for that. So I get into the game, and the game doesn't tell me how to play. So I'm just kind of running and swinging an axe or something, and I'm like, okay, I'll just this will be my test run for this game that I already don't like. And then we all meet up together, and I'm like, wait, are we fighting each other, or are we on a team to fight other people? And then one of the characters, who I guess has a headset on, says, okay, we need to group up. Leon Thomas, jump if you can hear me. And that creeped me out a lot. I was not prepared for that, for my game to talk to me. That I don't know. That made me feel really gross and my skin crawl, and I left the game. I was like, "How dare you speak to me when I'm playing my game?"
That is the most old dude shit I've ever heard.
Yeah, I do not want that at all. That made me really uncomfortable. Maybe I should have given myself a username that wasn't just my name, but I never think to do that.
You should just play Splatoon.
No
chat.
Austin,
yeah.
What he should do at this point in time, after expressing such a fondness for Doom, is play Wolfenstein the New Order.
Yeah, those games I might actually like, but so long as I don't have to play the multiplayer.
You don't, you get to kill Nazis.
Yeah, so there is that. But yeah, I am not the person who can play Fortnite at all. Everyone needs to leave me alone so I can kill things. And meet characters, and maybe they'll kiss. But beyond, I don't want this at all. I don't want people to be like, yeah, okay, and now we're gonna do the thing. Here's how we'll cooperate, and like, no, get away from me. I don't want to play team sports. This is ridiculous. Yeah, I hate it. Thanks. That's it. Those are all the games I played. I literally played it for 5 minutes before deciding that this is the opposite of the experience I want in my life.
Yeah, it's not even worth really making fun of you because, like, you know what you did, right? You're not going to learn anything if I hit you with the newspaper.
Right, it's over.
Yeah.
So yeah, I have a few other things, but I'm going to shut up now. If anyone else would like to jump in, please do.
All right. Have we talked about Firewatch before on the show?
I don't think so, actually.
Have you played it?
No.
Oh, okay. So Firewatch by Campo Santo is a walking simulator, and I don't mean that in a mean way. It's just the genre term that we use. Made by BioShock, ex-BioShock devs. I don't know how many people worked on it in the same team, but some of them went on to work for the Gone Home team, who I can't remember. The Fulbright is the word I was looking for. Fulbright Studios. Some of them work at Campo Santo. They worked on Firewatch, which also was optioned for a movie. I don't know when that's coming out, but that's an interesting fact. I finally got around to playing it. It is, as the name would suggest, a game where you play as someone who is a fire watcher. You're in a forest and you're in a big tower and you watch the forest for forest fires. And you do that job walking around while someone talks to you on the radio, and you learn about them, and they banter, and then there's intrigue, and then story happens, and then it's over. It's like a 4 or 5 hour game, depending on how much exploring you do. I think it's really interesting that they didn't take the easy way out. I don't know if maybe I'm just getting
what's
old.
the easy way out?
To have I don't want to spoil this game, but if you'll remember, Gone Home was kind of sold. If you see like the key art, it's like this purple, dark, spooky house, and you get there and your family's missing, and it's like, is it haunted? Were they killed by a monster? And it's just like, oh no, your sister's gay.
Yeah.
Like, that's Gone Home. I'm sorry, I'm pretty sure everyone knows that. Like, I didn't ruin it. In the same way, Firewatch could have easily been about like someone's in the woods, and they like gesture towards it, and it's like, you know, they could have made it more gamey. But it's really just kind of about this guy and his emotional problems and his relationship with this person you never get to meet on screen. And then like a couple other NPCs you don't see on screen. It's actually funny because knowing like the budget of the game, I knew there wasn't going to be any other human characters just because they're expensive to animate and model and stuff. Like,
on a side note about animation and modeling, the Firewatch people, Campo Santo, are responsible for one of my favorite sort of reveals about what game development actually looks like, where they showed a third person view of what it actually what actually physically happens when you pick up the radio and talk to it, and you just get this image of this model with a camera on the head. I mean, he has no head, right? Because you never see the guy. Yeah. And it's like, you see him reach into his pocket, and then when he pulls the stuff out in front of the camera, his hands expand. I'll try and find the.
Yeah, it's like in first-person shooters where you'll never see your own character, like the actual model deforms extremely badly, so they'll turn into basically like a Slender Man holding a rifle with the butt through their shoulder or some shit, because it doesn't matter, you never see it. It's actually a really common trick. I remember Super Mario 64 has a lot of this good shit too, where off screen, like if Mario gets sucked into quicksand or something, his body radically changes shape under the sand where you can't see it to create a effect of depth and stuff. Like there's all these really cool animation tricks that the player never knows about, but you go a long way to hiding stuff. There's another game I'm going to talk about shortly which does some very similar stuff where it's like making human faces that aren't creepy is extremely expensive and not worth the effort, so just don't do it.
Yes, I found it. Posting in the chat right now.
All right, I'm sure you'll tweet that out or something. But yeah, Firewatch is a walking simulator, and all the things that implies are, it's good if you want a story, it's bad if you want frenetic gameplay. The story it tells is fine, and I think it makes the deliberately less satisfying choices for effect. So we've been talking a lot about I hate to do this again, sorry guys, but The Last Jedi and how
awesome it is, and it's a great movie, and nobody should talk shit about it.
We can't. But that there were some very clear points where they could have done the easy thing and they didn't, and I don't know if it's because I'm getting old and jaded, but I appreciate that more and more these days. I've seen the good guys beat the bad guys a million times. I've seen it. I don't ever need it again. So when stories do something else, I feel like a lot of people around me are disappointed, but usually that's actually what I want, and maybe that's selfish. But Firewatch is that. So I do recommend it, but only if you're the kind of person that usually finds yourself in agreement with my choices, which are usually, I would say, pretentious and unusual, or just at least you're not looking for a conventional kind of narrative. A to B, good guys, bad guys.
Speaking of
fight.
Unusual, I too played a video game this week. Have you guys heard of Donut County?
I have. There's a raccoon.
Donut County.
I've heard of it.
Donut
but I don't
County
know what it's
is
about.
one of the most fucking adorable, clever, funny, amusing fucking indie games I have played in ages.
It's basically a spiritual successor to Katamari Damacy.
In a way.
Oh.
In a way. It is like negative Katamari Damacy.
Yeah, it's a spin on it, but it has the same.
Basically, I guess the give is that it centers around this town called Donut County that has a group of raccoons that are getting into business. So a bunch of raccoons own the donut shop, and they own the trash, the waste management system, of which the motto, I think, is "Throw me in the trash." And so this one raccoon named BK has this app on his phone or on his tablet or whatever, and uses it to deliver donuts, right? And there's a bunch of arguments in the game about like what makes a donut, but BK is all like, well, it's only a donut if it has a hole. So the way the game plays is when somebody orders a donut, BK deploys a hole in the ground. And you have to like move your hole around the ground and suck things into it. Let them drop into this hole. And as more things go into the hole begins to get bigger. So then you can like get more things in the hole. This is sounding very sexual right now, I've just realized. But then, like, later on you start to get, like, gadgets and weird things that affect the way your hole works. So, like, one of my favorites is you suck down a campfire at one point in time, and then some husks of corn. And then a bunch of popcorn comes flying out the hole, and a bunch of birds that are flying around then land on the ground to try and, like, pick up this popcorn, and then you like move your hole under the birds, and the birds fall in the hole, and and at the end of every level, you get to look up the Trashopedia, which has a brief description of like everything that you manage to suck down the hole. And it'll be like, one of my favorites was, and I tweeted this, it was like a mug of coffee. And it was like, coffee is awesome. It burns your tongue and makes you go to the bathroom. Or the popcorn one is corn that was punished. It's so cute and it's so funny. And like in between every level, you get these like little after the fact dialogues when like the entire town is like stuck in this hole under the ground. And everybody's like, BK, how could you do this to us? He's like, hey, I didn't do it to you. Maybe I did it with you. And it's just it's spectacular. I mean, on Steam right now, it's like $13 Canadian, so probably just like a tenner in America or something like that. And the graphics are adorably cute, and it's incredibly funny, and it's easy to play, and it's not long. I played it in one night. I finished it. It's hilarious. It's funny. You should give Ben Esposito your money.
Yeah, I mean, it's only credited to one person as developer, as far as I know. Maybe other people worked on it, but it's a pretty small team, if that. But it is published by Annapurna, so I like to think of it as Katamari Damacy brought to you by the Zero Dark 30.
Not just the Zero Dark 30, but also I believe the Sorry to Bother You people.
Yeah, I mean, Annapurna publishes a lot of stuff, but they're doing
a VR game with Elijah Wood and Macon Blair that I'm really looking forward to.
A very interesting company. So yeah, Donut County looks incredible. I think
buy it. Yeah,
I was gonna say it seems like a recommendation from me, even though I haven't played it, which is probably unethical. But what are you gonna do?
Buy it.
Yeah,
it's so good.
I also played another game. This one I think, John, you have played. Correct me if I'm wrong. Soma?
I have. Yes. Frictional.
That's the other game.
Frictional games must scary wife.
That was the other game I was referring to, where you don't really see other human characters because they're expensive. So there's a lot of times in the game where you'll think you're about to meet someone, or they threaten to meet you with someone, and usually it's either a robot or like a malformed monster that's supposed to be uncanny, because humans are so expensive. Yes. Anyway,
but not
it's
as
a
expensive
horror
as
game.
Women, right?
Jesus Christmas. It's a horror game by the people who made Amnesia: The Dark Descent. It continues in that tradition, more or less, where you have to do environmental puzzles in between roaming creatures who you cannot look at, or else you like lose health and then they run up and kill you.
Although there is a friendly mode of the game right now.
That was where I was building up to. Is the game at launch was heralded for its story and atmosphere, but dinged pretty bad for its stealth and basically monster encounters. They're not that much different from Amnesia, but it's hard to articulate how they're less fun, but they truly are. And I actually did end up playing in the safe mode, I think it's called, was something that was added later. So the monsters threaten you. And you can still die if you like fall off a cliff or something, but for the most part, they will just like kind of bounce off of you, and your screen will go fuzzy, but you can run away. And I think that is the best way to play it, because it's not really a game about survival. It's not like you are this great hero who must defeat all these monsters. The game is like you wake up in an undersea facility. How did you get here? Why are you here? What happened? What are all these monsters? It's that kind of stuff. So it's kind of a mystery. I don't know. It's the twist, as it were, is revealed extremely early. like not, I don't know, like 20% in, 20% of the way in maybe. So it's not even really playing for the surprise. It's really about the implications of the surprise. And it was a really interesting feeling for me specifically because we just wrapped up season 4 of Dice Funk, which has a kind of core plot element, which is the twist of Soma. Yeah. But I played Soma at the very end of the season, so it wasn't an inspiration, but it could have very easily been. So there's a couple of really, really strong moments in the game where it's just like, oh, I'll always remember that. That was really, really cool. But then a lot of it is just kind of sneaking around in corridors where monsters make creepy noises, and I'm kind of over that.
Like... In a lot of ways, I can see some refinement in Soma, of what they like. Frictional Games is a really kind of an interesting studio for me because of the way that their games have kind of like built upon each other. Because like prior to Soma, they did, of course, Amnesia: The Dark Descent, and then prior to that, they did the Penumbra games. And there's like you can clearly chart, you know, this like uptick of what they realize about gameplay and narrative mechanics and things like that, and what they learned from their last project and things, you know. So it's like Soma has so much in it that I see as being an improvement over Amnesia, but then at the same time, like I can see them also overcomplicating a lot of the things that they established there. But then,
yeah, it's a weird thing where it's like, oh, it's an improvement in every way, but I don't know if I enjoy it.
Yeah. Like the narrative is so much better.
Yeah, I mean, Amnesia was just, it's a spooky house. Laudanum, I guess.
Which, I mean, everybody loves. Why not?
Everyone does love Laudanum, yeah. And they didn't develop. It's a Swedish studio, I believe. They didn't develop a machine for pigs. They only
that was the Dear Esther people. Everybody's gone to the Rapture
Chinese room.
Thank you.
Yeah, which is I think a much improved story-wise on Amnesia: The Dark Descent, but also not a greatest horror puzzler. So it's all these games have different strengths and weaknesses. I think they're all very interesting. Yeah. Soma is probably the most fleshed out. Like, it's probably the longest and the most complicated and the highest budget. And I think that pays off.
It's worth playing. Is the thing. Yeah. You know, like, I mean, Amnesia had this great, like, it hit at the right time, and it had this, you know, I don't want to say cult following, because it broke mainstream horror in a way that, because after Amnesia we started to get all these like runners and followers. You know, Steam Greenlight was filled with games like Slender Man and
it went viral and there was a bunch of imitators.
You know, and now it kind of has become a pastiche of itself. You know, people are I remember a couple of days ago, a friend of mine was like, Halloween's here! Recommend to me some horror games! And I was about to like jump on the keyboard and be like, have you played Amnesia: The Dark? And I was like, no. I mean, that's kind of like, it has dated itself now, you know?
Yeah, I will always remember fondly the first time I was cornered by one of the creatures and flipped the fuck out. But you'd have to pay me to go back and do all those Valve and handle puzzles or whatever the fuck.
My favorite was when I was playing Amnesia: The Dark Descent right in the middle of the night, and I was losing my mind in two ways. And one of the effects when you go a bit crazy was a cockroach will crawl across the screen, and it was like I said, middle of the night, completely dark room. There I am with like my fucking cup of coffee, just bleary-eyed. And this bug just goes across the screen, and I fucking flipped over in my chair and nearly fell down the stairs. That was like 8 feet behind me because I was just like,
that's that classic Eternal Darkness shit.
It was, and afterwards I got up and I was just like, you motherfuckers, you clever ass motherfuckers, I love you.
Yeah.
So Leon.
I'll
play Wolfenstein the New Order.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what we say at the end of every video game thing. Is just play a single-player game about killing bad guys.
It's good, awesome. Though. The new Wolfenstein games are good. Yeah. And you get to kill Nazis. And there's a great...
every sentence needs to end like that.
And there's a great deconstruction of, like, the beefy American hero, where he actually gets, like, tender moments, and... There's like it's one of the most one of the most beautiful love scenes in game making in Wolfenstein the New Order, I have to say.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
We've talked about it before, but yeah. It's surprising in a lot of ways. I also played some other video games that are very short. We haven't recorded in like 11 days or something, so I had a little bit more time.
And it's also early in the day as well, so I'm down for doing, let's double stuff this Oreo.
Absolutely
brought to you
not.
by...
We'll record on Wednesday.
No.
Never. Actually, if anything, we should do a short one so Leon can get it out quickly and escape back into his editing chamber. I played Subsurface Circular and Quarantine Circular. Have you guys heard of these games?
Nope.
These are short narrative experimental games by Mike Bithell, who you may know as the guy who made Thomas Was Alone and Volume. Extremely good games, obviously.
I've never played either, but I'm a distant admirer. We'll put it that way.
Thomas Was Alone is the hardest I've ever cried at. I was gonna say a video game, at anything, at any piece of media. I bawled for like half an hour, like heaving, couldn't catch my breath. It's not even a sad game. It's just so beautiful. Anyway, he wasn't alone anymore. I'm getting choked up.
That's good. I mean, that's a spoiler, but okay.
So, Subsurface Circular is a game about a robot on a subway in the near future Britain, and you are sitting there, you're a detective robot, and other people sit down on the train with you, and you talk to them. And the game is about hour to 2 hours, depending on your reading speed, I guess. And that the whole game is you are a robot on a train talking to other robots on this train. That is literally the only thing that happens. There's plot events and there are themes and social commentary on labor and humanity and personhood and free will, and like it goes some places, but it's not exactly the most blockbuster action thrill ride. It's just robots on a train talking. So this is very much like Firewatch. You have to be the kind of person who wants to read about robots talking about what it means to be a person if you want to enjoy it. I very much did. I think Mike Bithell is probably the best writer in video games right now.
Have we talked about localhost, Austin?
I don't think so.
Okay, all right. Continue, and I'll tell you about localhost in a moment.
All right, and the other game Mike Bithell released shortly after this one is Quarantine Circular, which is another thematically related game. It does not follow directly from the plot of the last one. It's so the story is an alien came down to Earth and he was quarantined on this. It's like what do they call it? It's like a ship on the sea with like the deck. I'm extremely
boat?
tired right now. Not exactly. Like where
a carrier, an aircraft carrier.
Yeah, like a carrier. It has like a flat surface where like planes take off from.
Yeah.
So they quarantined him there, this alien, and the game is you play various humans who are interviewing him. Why did you come here? What are your intentions? Do you have anything to do with the problems humanity is facing right now. One of the important things you learn as you play the game is that there's a plague happening in humanity.
Did you elect Trump?
Yikes. This is a British person writing about a very British perspective, so I don't think they actually bring up Trump directly.
Yeah, but
a
still,
lot of xenophobia.
there are Scottish people who break into his golf course in the middle of the night and then shit in the holes.
Is that true? Or
no, that is absolutely true. Yeah,
that's awesome.
He has had to pay for extra security because people keep finding human feces in the holes of his golf course.
Hell yeah, rock on.
Don't fuck with the Scots.
So this is a game about basically xenophobia and suspicion and fear and other things, more science fiction concepts, just what would humanity's relationship with extraterrestrials be? What's the kind of scope of our responsibility and stuff like that. It's, once again, only an hour or two long, and it's all reading, so to say too much would be to spoil it. But once again, it's just incredibly strong, likable writing. I don't know if I so disclosure, Laura Kate Dale, who is a co-host on Dice Funk, I believe consulted on this game. So I don't know the extent to which there is a part, I don't know if I want to spoil it, but it happens. So there's that. Yeah, just really good. I feel like I had more to say and then I just suddenly didn't. Oh, there's Subsurface Circular, the robots in the train game, I think only has 2 endings, so you can kind of play it just twice, and then there's director commentary where I'll talk about making the game and the themes and stuff. But Quarantine Circular has a lot of endings. There's a lot of different ways the alien stuff can resolve, and I haven't played all of them. The one I did was it was extremely bleak. I assume there are some more hopeful endings, but the one I got was kind of bold. I liked it a lot, but. So if you're looking for some reading suggestions, but you don't like books, I have your back. Okay. That's what I got.
Okay, real quick, I'm just going to talk about localhost. I'm not going to blow much about it. I just want to give you the premise. It's a game available on itch. Something we don't talk about on the podcast very much, but itch, which is I believe the URL is just itch.io.
Yeah, I hear people just call it itch.io as if it's one word.
Yeah, but right. It's a real indie-friendly, gives a lot of money back to the developers. It's a great platform. But yeah, so localhost is available on itch. And basically the premise of the game is that you are a hardware technician who has to analyze and prepare used hard drives in a future where artificial intelligence is sort of ubiquitous. So what basically happens is you grab a hard drive and you plug it in to see if the data is still good, if the hardware is still good, and then an AI starts talking to you and is like, oh, thank God, somebody plugged me back in. I'm going to be repaired. And you basically have to tell these AIs, no, you see, I'm actually kind of here to kill you. You're going to be deleted so your hard drive can be repurposed. And it gets... depending on who you are, what kind of person you are, it can get emotional. It's a really, really interesting... so it's called Localhost. Check that shit out. There's also another one I want to tell Leon about, because I think he would like it. Also available on itch, called 2000-1, A Space Felony. Or How I Came to Value My Life and Murder Mercilessly, where you basically show up as a... it's basically like a cross between 2001 and Phoenix Wright, where you basically show up as a forensic investigator on a spacecraft that nobody has radioed back from, and you arrive and everybody's dead, so you have to like wander around the ship and photograph things and interrogate the computer to figure out what happened to the crew. It's this weird comedy surrealist like. I think it's great. Anyways, so
okay.
I also have a game to recommend to Leon. It's called Wolfenstein the New Order. You get to kill Nazis.
Yeah, Leon, have you heard about the new Wolfenstein games?
Oh my god.
I don't know why we're doing this. This isn't even a good joke.
For once in my life, Austin, for once, I want to tell Leon about a game, have him play it, and be like, you were right. You were right.
It doesn't happen. Yeah. I watched a lot of movies in the past week and a half. I couldn't possibly like get into each one, so I'm just gonna like marathon them real quick, like, and give you like a few words on each. I watched Diamonds Are Forever. It's a James Bond movie, so it's bad. I watched the Poltergeist remake. It's not just that it's unnecessary, because that's what I keep hearing about it. Oh, this is so unnecessary. It's also just the characterization is kind of weak, and they start this thing in the beginning where you think it's about the father is down on his luck because he's poor, but it's like this is never resolved, and it's like a hanging plot thread. There's like a twist that happens there's something, we learn something about a character, but we learn it too late where it doesn't matter. I feel like this needed a second draft. I watched The Meg in the theaters. It is a horror movie about a huge shark.
It's sharksploitation, all right?
It's not good, but I ended up caring about the characters anyway, because they're just like these very two-dimensional, we all have one personality trait kind of characters, but like I'm into that, so it was fine. I watched At the Earth's Core. That was just like a Mystery Science Theater thing. I watched Bringing Out the Dead, which is a really good Martin Scorsese movie. I watched
I Am the Japanese
Emily.
Sandman. What?
I watched Emily, which is a completely just okay horror movie on Netflix about a babysitter. I watched Power of Grayskull, which is a He-Man documentary. I watched Gotti, which is one of the worst movies of the year, starring John Travolta as John Gotti, trying to do like an Italian-y accent. I watched Last Ounce of Courage, which is a Christian exploitation film about the war on Christmas. I watched Ghost Stories, which is a horror anthology movie that is pretty good. It's not like great, but it is good in the way that like upper level BBC shit is good. it's very that. Like it doesn't look amazing, but it looks like a good episode of like a BBC show. Martin Freeman is in it. I watched Live and Let Die. It's a James Bond movie, so it's bad. And I watched God's Not Dead, A Light in Darkness. You can watch my episode on that. And that is what I watched this week, and it is now time for questions.
Well, that was authoritative.
Yeah.
All right, first question here from someone named Johnny Maloney at Scatterbrains on Twitter.
Yep.
Sounds like a total chuckle fuck, frankly. The question is, why the fuck did I just grow 400 followers because someone thinks I'm a Zoe Quinn conspirator?
Yeah, that
Johnny, where's the money? Where's the money, Johnny?
I got it all, bitches. No, so that growth actually turned out to be a bug, but I was still tagged. Apparently some dude was like, we need to start holding Zoe Quinn responsible, and then like tagged a bunch of fucking people, and I was in this tweet, and I was like, huh? Like, what? So it looked like for a brief second there that I had gained like fucking 400 followers, but it didn't turn out like that. I just don't know. What the huh?
Yeah, it's like the ghost of Gooby Goo.
I mean, I get that. I just don't understand why I was being held accountable.
I mean, presumably you were on some sort of block list or something, because at some point you tweeted and that you were a negative voice in the anti-Gumigate thing, and so you just got swept up in some kind of journo list that they have.
Maybe.
Or maybe it's someone who still thinks blistered thumbs is a thing.
No, because, like, Leon, I don't think you understand the MO of these guys, is that they publicly outcry and say,
Right.
we're not going to go to Kotaku, but then they all go to Kotaku to complain about Kotaku.
Yeah.
Like, that's how it goes. So, like,
Yeah.
nobody would be like, we're not going to blistered thumbs, and then not go to blistered thumbs. They would go there so they could complain about why they're at blistered thumbs.
The important thing is that they're here now to hold the video game media accountable for, the ethical lapses and, say, the plagiarism scandal that broke.
Yes.
Which I'm sure they are on.
Yeah,
I'm sure they're doing a lot about that.
I'm super glad that you guys are doing due diligence on a Kickstarter campaign that I didn't even contribute to. Run by somebody that I don't know personally, but, way to hold us accountable.
Anyway, this is just a good point to plug the fact that Zoe Quinn has a new book coming out, or might even be out. I don't read comics, but she has a Magical Girl cyberpunk series from Vertigo Comics called Goddess Mode.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Probably worth checking out.
And also, Crash Override is a very good read.
Yeah, wasn't that option for a film?
I believe it is still, yeah.
She's fucking owning them badly.
It's fucking beautiful, like...
Oh, God. Speaking of cyberpunk, next question comes from Mustache Squid Incorporated. Extremely good name. Is Futurama technically cyberpunk?
I was actually thinking the other day that, like, of all the futures, like, that we expected it there to be, like, I wasn't expecting our future to just be Futurama, where all our same, like, bigotry and like shitty ideas and like sexism still exists, but there's also just technology now, and there's aliens. Like everything's the same. Like everyone kind of says like sexist stuff to Leela, and people make like bad comments, and like everyone's kind of shitty. Nothing has changed.
And everybody watches Hypnotoad.
Some of the laws have changed, but like socially, like people are kind of the same. I don't know if that means it's cyberpunk, unless you think like cyberpunk has to have like a dour view of the future.
I mean, it's pretty dour. I would say that while cyberpunk has been extremely prescient in a number of ways, so like the increase in corporate power, the uneven distribution of technology, and so forth, one thing they were wrong on was that the oppressors would be competent. The villains in cyberpunk are usually extremely skilled operators, and they're knowledgeable, and they can shut down any threat at a moment's notice.
Don't fuck with the corpse.
Yeah. In Futurama, everyone's basically a fucking goober. But as we have experienced in 2018, that doesn't make the oppression any less real. So I don't think technically Futurama is cyberpunk, mostly because it's missing a lot of the punk elements. I don't think any of the main characters are particularly motivated to rebel against the system. Mostly they just like do jokes, which is fine. But I actually do think it's interesting. One thing I've tried to do in the cyberpunk season of Dice Funk was to reveal a lot of the sinister megacorps as being run by egotistical, useless children, basically, who got dunked on pretty much immediately when actually cornered. So that was something I tried to subvert there. But yeah, I've been thinking about this a lot recently.
I agree with you. I don't think it's strictly cyberpunk, but I do believe that there are some cyberpunk elements in it. Like I might be convinced to call Futurama cyberpunk satire.
With the recent release of the Cyberpunk 2077 gameplay demo to the wider public, and also just the thing I'm making being Cyberpunk, has made me think about this a lot recently. But I think the line between the modern day setting and Cyberpunk is more or less gone. like there are still aesthetic differences because of the influences of like Blade Runner.
But socioeconomic, you're talking?
I'm saying cyberpunk was created in the Reagan era as a warning against the future, and I think we're just in it now. Like it doesn't look exactly the same, but usually you're only getting a glimpse anyway. And if you look at like the certain parts of the world, like the favelas is, be the low places, and then you look at like, I don't know, the excesses of Dubai. Yeah. You're like, oh, there are pockets of the world that look like this. There's just also the rest of it that you don't see.
They just like put an Alexa in there.
So yeah, I contend that the barrier between cyberpunk and the modern setting has more or less collapsed. It's just really about aesthetics at a certain point, which obviously Futurama does not have. Also, I don't think they expect us to talk about this in depth. Anyway, next question.
Just incidentally, do either of you guys have like an Alexa or anything like that?
No.
Why would you want one of those?
I don't know.
I just have Google.
Yeah,
just like everyone else.
Like on your phone, right?
Yeah,
I understand, but like again, like I have thumbs.
Yeah, so like I don't understand. I don't get that.
It's futury. Like I understand the appeal. I just rewatched an episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation earlier today, and it's like it's cool to say computer. I get it. I get the appeal. It's just not something I care enough to do.
Yeah, it just doesn't until it can cook for me. Don't get me wrong. Well, I enjoy cooking, but if I could just be like, Alexa, fried chicken.
In order for me to buy an invention, it has to be noticeably better than a thing that is free and something that I already can use very well. And search engine's already there. I can type pretty fast. It's fine. Yeah, I can type almost as fast as I can talk. So it's not. It doesn't save me any time.
I just wondered if I was alone in like why.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I mean, people. I'm not going to dunk on someone if they want to have like one of those.
I'm not trying to dunk on anybody.
No.
I'm just like I don't get it, and I was just hoping that I was not the only one who did not get it.
No, you're fine.
No, I have a talkie thing on my phone, but I deliberately didn't set it up. I mean, I like Leon said, I can do it faster myself. And even if I couldn't, I feel like I talked about this when the Kinect came out, but it's like the video game controllers that exist give you like basically 1-to-1 with like no noticeable latency. If you make it any percentage worse, even if it's like a negligible percentage, there's no reason to use it. Why do something less efficient? Just because it's newer, right? Like
the only voice command system I've ever used that's worked for me was for Elite Dangerous.
Yeah.
And that was Eli. Like an HCS plugin, because like you've got so many things that you have to manage, like heat systems, engines, setting course, and stuff like that. And so, like, being able to actually be like, Eli, deploy landing gear, retract landing gear, request dock, and things like that, while you're, like, holding onto your joystick and throttle and things like that, makes sense. And also, it talks to me in John Delancey's voice, who plays Q from The Next Generation, and he's incredibly sarcastic and puts me down when he feels like it. So, that's fun.
Yeah.
But, like... when I installed Windows 10, it was like, do you want to use Cortana? And I was like, no. No, I don't.
Also, I played Halo. I know she's going to go, was it rampant? She goes, like, banana sandwiches and, like, dies. So I
played Halo 1.5, which is, I played the first one and then half of the second one, and I was like... Yeah, sure, whatever.
And then it made you play as the Arbiter, and you're like, not in my Halo, thank you very much.
Make Halo great again.
No, please. I actually just realized I know a lot about the Halo story. Even if the voice stuff worked perfectly, I wouldn't really see a reason to upgrade, and it doesn't work perfectly, so it seems like a deliberate downgrade. I don't get it. Yeah. Anyway, next question.
Fuck you, Alexa!
Damn.
Allison the Purple asks, Austin, have you experienced snow? So this obviously is really only applicable to me because both of you guys are like neck deep in snow all the time, one assumes.
Yeah, that's me. Right now, I'm shoveling snow off my balcony.
The answer to this question is yes. I went to Chicago for one of my birthdays to see the Chicago Bears play. They won. They beat the Detroit Lions. It was extremely good. I also went to Pennsylvania. I went to Philadelphia for a U2 concert.
Austin.
Saw snow there as well. Yeah.
Why are there lions in Detroit?
You know, off the top of my head, I do not know why they're called that.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of early teams were kind of just named after random animals.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was just a thing.
Like the Mets?
That's Metropolitans. I know the Chicago Cubs are named after the Bears because they had some kind of finance help.
I don't know if you've ever had to kill a wild Met with your bare hands, but it's a grueling fight, okay?
They're fierce.
They are.
My only good snow story was I was in a parking lot I think it was Pottsville. We were in Pennsylvania, and it was like a sloping parking lot. It's hard to explain, but there's like an extreme elevation change. And it was icy, and I was like 10. And so one minute I was getting out of the car, and the next minute I was sliding down into the busy I don't know if it was a street. In my memory, there was cars speeding in every direction extremely fast. That's probably embellished with time. It might have just been a normal street, but in my mind, it was a busy intersection, and I almost
giant, just a highway.
Yeah.
When was the first time you saw snow?
I had to assume it was on the Chicago trip.
Mm-hmm.
So
did it blow your mind? Were you like, "What the fuck"?
Yeah, I mean, I ran out and touched it, obviously, had to understand how it felt, and it burned, which is a cool thing. Not sure why it does that. Someone should look into that.
It shouldn't burn right away. That must be like a thing like native to like Floridians who are just unaccustomed to cold.
We're very sensitive.
Because I remember you once saying it was like 70 degrees and it was like far too cold for you once.
Yeah, he's got blood like water, Leon. So just like let the boy be.
All right.
We're built very differently. Here's a question I assume was a joke, but I'm going to take it seriously. Toshiro Kuru, our question guru, asks, "Where's the shadow government when you need it?"
In the deep state.
Yeah, so that's what I was going to say. Like, so I assume both of you are familiar with the concept of the deep state.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, look, here's the thing, okay? Is that Trump is trying to drain the swamp, right?
Oh, my God.
And QAnon is the chain
I knew this was going to happen.
That's going to attach to the plug that's going to let the deep state... See, like, you can see him trying to drain the swamp because every single person he hires to government, he then fires, right?
I'm in hell. All right, so the concept of the deep state is actually a real thing and a useful phrase in certain contexts. In America, it mostly refers to a boring bunch of bureaucrats who aren't worth replacing that regularly, and they have no meaningful impact on everything. However, there are countries in which there is an entrenched deep state of usually military people or extremely wealthy people who do have too much influence for what they should and subvert, if it's a democracy, subvert democracy or pull the strings of power. The idea that America is ruled by a deep state is silly. It's just ruled by a bunch of rich people, the Koch brothers and the Aileses and those people. So
the Rothschilds.
Nope. All right. So the question was, why is the deep state not intervening, or are they intervening? Where's the shadow government when you need it? Is the question. The boring answer is that the people who we would actually call the deep state don't have any real power. The power to impeach Trump is in Congress. They are not the deep state. They are elected officials, so you should vote them out.
One of my favorite confrontations ever with someone about the concept of the deep state, and this happened like 10, 15 years ago or something like more like 10 years ago, was that I said to someone, at one point in time, somebody gave somebody else oral sex in the Oval Office, and nobody could keep that a secret. So, what makes you think that there's like a a secret cabal of super intelligent people who like can secretly manipulate the state when like a blowjob was just like, oh hey, yeah, this happened.
Yeah, Johnny, I think your mistake there is that they're not people, they're lizards.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah, I forgot. Sorry.
Which I don't think anybody caught. That is
alien-human hybrids, Leon. Let's be PC about this, okay?
One of the core jokes of the last season of Dice Funk is that the government is actually run by lizard people. That's actually just true, and it's not like ever remarked upon, and I don't think I saw anybody actually point it out, but that is actually how it works. Anyway, yeah, that's why aliens, there's definitely no evidence of aliens that exist currently, and the American government never had any, because he definitely would have tweeted about it. But yeah, everything Johnny said. Do you guys have any thoughts? Because one of the like popular conspiracy theories right now is that like, oh, the mainstream media tells you that Trump sucks ass, but actually it's a deep state conspiracy to make him look like he sucks ass.
No, he sucks ass.
Yeah, obviously.
He doesn't even suck ass very well. Like
his technique's all wrong.
Like George W. Bush sucked ass.
George W. Bussy.
he was good at sucking ass.
No,
he made it look good.
He gave Michelle Obama a piece of candy at John McCain's funeral, so he's good now.
No.
Oh my God.
He's just good at sucking ass. Like that's it. He read books upside down, you know?
Yeah, his whole thing was that he was obviously monstrous. Well, I should say the things he did were monstrous and have a lasting effect on America as it relates to wars and all kinds of things. But he himself comes across like this bumbling buffoon, so that now that he's not in power anymore, he's just like a sitcom character for people to like pretend that he's okay now. He's still the exact same guy. He just doesn't have his finger on the button anymore.
Yeah. He's the grandpa that everybody's like, oh, grandpa.
Whereas Trump, he also has done a lot of monstrous things, but also his personality is so aggressive that it's even easier to hate him.
If Trump fucked off to New York and started like painting sad pictures, I'd be like, "Oh, Daddy,
no,
resign."
I hate it."
No. It's like that's the thing. Like Trump is on a personal level deeply unpleasant,
yes.
Whereas George W. Bush, as people have said in the past, seems like the kind of guy you could have a beer with. That doesn't make anything about his administration good.
Yeah.
It's just it's purely superficial.
Yeah, without the privilege,
he's the kind of abominable that you can digest.
Without the privilege of his family, he would just be like, "Oh, you know that funny hillbilly cousin you have." Like,
right. He'd be like the uncle who comes to the cookout and like he goofs around and he's not bright and you wouldn't want to put him in charge of anything. But, like, he's fine so long as you don't have him make any significant moral choices for the world.
Yeah, but him and his family are chained to a monstrous policy machine, which, I mean, there's, at a certain point, like, he was born into it. Like, obviously, if there is a hell, he's going there, but it's like, well, he was always going to be like that.
You guys know that I'm not trying to defend George W. Bush, right?
I know.
Yeah. Here's a really good question. Like, I love all your questions. Maybe my favorite question in a while. This one rules. Dr. Izix asks, that's at IzixLP on Twitter, asks, if one major world religion ended up being 100% verifiably true, which would you prefer it to be?
Buddhism.
Yeah?
Yeah.
It's a good one. I have one.
Tough.
Jainism. Do you guys know Jainism?
I do not.
Vaguely only.
So Jainism is probably most known for its commitment to pacifism. Like the most striking image of like Jainist beliefs is they walk with brooms in front of them, sweeping the ground in front of where they step.
Oh yeah, okay. Now I know exactly what
so
you
that
mean.
they don't
I just forgot the
so
word.
that they don't step on any insects, because that.
I mean, that's like, you know, like that. That's why I went with Buddhism in the first place, is that it's do no harm, do well, and then in the next life, upgrade.
Yeah, there's significant crossover between Jainism and Buddhism. They're both heavily feature reincarnation, meditation, pacifism. I'd have to do some research, which I haven't done for this question, but there are some interesting differences, and I think they both have sociological implications that I'm not crazy about, like caste systems, but that's a feature of most religions of that region. But
I don't think Buddhism necessarily has a caste system, but I think that sociologically people have imposed caste systems.
Yeah, that's like it's one of those things where part of what the culture was gets subsumed into the religion, where it's like,
yeah.
Oh, here's what people did in these Jewish tribes, so now it's part of their religion.
Yeah. Yeah. You were born poor, so obviously you did something bad in a past life, and now I have to disrespect you.
That's my favorite parts of the Bible, the stuff that's really local, where it's like, all right, so we need to go make a sacrifice at this specific temple in this specific town, and it's like,
right.
Oh yeah, I'm just gonna head on over there, just gonna buy a ticket. Fucking old ass writers, what am I supposed to do with this? Leon, any thoughts?
I don't know. If any religion besides Christianity turned out to be 100% true, meaning everyone would have to convert to it, I might be like out of a job. So there's just so much Christianity that comes up in my show.
Mm-hmm. I mean, being proved wrong hasn't done anything to diminish a lot of ideologies.
That is a great point. Never mind. Shit. I want the
yeah.
I want the version of Buddhism where reincarnation is definitely a thing, because there actually are a bunch of different like sects in which like some Buddhists don't believe in reincarnation.
Yeah, but I mean, Leon, the Christian God is well and true, but only if you're Protestant.
Yeah.
The thing about a lot of Indian religions, Jainism, Buddhism, and Hinduism, most notably, is that all of them are umbrella terms for like a bunch of different ideologies.
Ayurvedic.
Yeah,
Ayurvedic Hinduism is fucking crazy.
And it's partially just because, like, geographically, like, India is extremely populated, so there's a ton of people. They can't all agree on everything, and even if they have similar ideas, certain communities, and, like, before, travel was really easy and stuff, would be sequestered from each other, and they would just naturally develop different ideas, and, so it's a mire, to say the least, and that's not even my area of expertise, so it's hard to speak on. But
Ayurvedic Hinduism believes that Australia is the way it is because gods fought wars with spaceships, basically.
Fuck, that rules.
Yeah, I decided that I would like the one true religion to be one of the supernatural forms of Unitarian Universalism. That way I know God is an anti-fascist.
So you're a Wiccan, then?
No.
I'm looking up here. It seems like some of the main differences between Jainism and Buddhism is Jainists, or Jains is the term, believe in the existence of a soul, of the self, where Buddhism denies the concept of self. So you try to transcend
totally
oneself.
Deny the concept of self.
You know what? I'm not sure
Fuck
I'd be
me.
down. I'm not sure.
No,
I
actually,
could...
literally, fuck me, please.
Okay. I don't know if I could actually be down with Buddhism because it insists upon, basically denying desires for yourself, and I really like mine.
Yeah. Also, Buddhists, some like I said, there's a bunch of different kinds, but generally speaking, Buddhists are not required to be vegan. Where Jains are absolutely. It's a no animals at all.
Yeah, that's why I kind of want to be down with the one I said, because you can kind of do anything in that religion.
Look,
but also...
I'm not saying I want to be Buddhist. If I wanted to be Buddhist, I would be Buddhist. Right. But I had beef ribs for dinner last night.
Right.
And I'm just saying, if anybody was right, go Buddhists.
Yeah, and okay. Another thought I had is in Hinduism, so you're always the same soul when you're reincarnated, and so that generally speaking, they often think of it as like a punishment, like you're bad, so now you're going to be a dung beetle, or you're good, and now you're going to be like a mighty lion or whatever, or just a person who was born into wealth. So you're kind of always the same person reincarnated. But in Jainism, it's more like liquid, like who you are changes in your reincarnations. And that's more true to my experience. I feel like I'm constantly changing. Like you go back to the beginning of my podcasting career, I'm a totally different person. And that's happened multiple times. I feel like that's just more true to the actual human
Austin,
experience.
You were a fucking football star.
I don't know, star.
And now
I was
you're a
nerd. Yeah. So I don't know. That I'm sticking by my answer, but also I love this topic. So
yeah. All right.
That was a good question. Thank you.
Extremely good question. Leon, did you settle on one? I know we talked around it, but I just want to get it for the record.
Yeah. I mean, something along the lines of Unitarian Universalism would be cool, where God's actually just like a cool guy.
That's such a bitch answer.
God's just like a nice guy who like is probably gonna let you get into heaven unless you're Hitler.
And he wears sandals, and he has like a hacky sack, and he's like, "Hey, dude, do you want to just like hang around?"
Right. He's not judgy the way people think God is. So like I'm into that idea a lot.
He's mellowed out in his middle age.
Here's a quick one. Sunflower Princess Zoe asks, Austin, do people really scream and yell in courtrooms when they are accused of murder, like in Phoenix Wright? So the thing about Phoenix Wright and a lot of fiction about courtrooms is they set an unreachable bar for the actual procedures. Like in every Phoenix Wright game, you are a defense attorney, and it turns out your client is innocent and you need to defend them, and also you have to solve the crime and get the person to admit it in the courtroom, which is preposterous. It would never happen once, let alone 6 times per game over 8 games.
But what about Bird Attorney, Austin?
I actually haven't played that. It's in my Steam library, Avian Attorney.
Yeah, I know. I bought it for you.
I'm
Thanks.
trying, Johnny. I'm so busy. But yeah, so people aren't ever accused of murder like in Phoenix Wright in court. That's just bananas. It's not how it happens. Also, it's extremely easy to just not implicate yourself. Just don't do it. But as far as screaming and yelling, yeah, that actually does happen a lot. It's a very emotionally charged thing, but also because judges have very wide discretion on how to run their courts, it's an extremely bad idea to start a scene, and it's kind of a weapon used especially against lower income people or people who have like mental illness or are fragile in some way. Where, like, you know, the judge has a lot of cases to get to. If you're going to start a scene, if you're going to yell or whatever, fuck you. Contempt of court. See you in 5 years, idiot. I don't have the stats in front of me, but I imagine...
Is that a mandatory sentencing?
No, I'm just saying. It's kind of a cudgel, where it's like, shut up and, you know, sit down. Where, like, I mean, rich people, like, you just...
Take your medicine.
You just show up in your suit, and you just sit quietly, the big boys talk, and then you go home. Where other people...
Yeah.
Who don't, and
you pay like 10% of your fucking bonus check.
Yeah,
that year.
Yeah. So my advice is to behave yourself in court, because there's no easier way to get rid of you than to just have you hauled out for breaking the rules of actually being in court. But I realize it's actually much more complicated than that when you're in the room, because it is extremely stressful.
Plus, they might duct tape your mouth.
Here's a Star Trek question. I don't know what it means. I'm going to read it, and hopefully it makes sense.
All right.
Let's do it, Leon. You with me?
Okay.
Adam Schwartz, at Adam's Thinking on Twitter, asks, what do you think Captain Benjamin Sisko is up to, and why doesn't he get a spinoff like Picard?
Oh,
for crying out loud, he's with the prophets.
I only know what this question means because I saw Picard, and I know it's a Star Trek word, so I hope the question is good.
Yeah, Captain Sisko was with the Prophets. If you read the novel series that takes place after the television series, you will discover what happens to him.
Oh, Leon, you're my hero.
As I am, but like there's more to Sisko. But here's the thing: like, are we going to get like a televised, like, in canon spinoff of Captain Sisko? Probably not. He didn't even want to be involved. I mean, even if like the people behind Star Trek wanted that to happen, Avery Brooks didn't even want to be involved in the DS9 documentary that they're making. He has moved on from that in his life, and that's fine. Like, and you know,
all you have to do is watch the movie The Captains. Yeah, have you seen that, Leon? You've seen the
I haven't
Captains?
seen it. I haven't seen it yet.
You should. It's basically a movie that William Shatner does, where he goes around and interviews all the captains. So he talks to Patrick Stewart, he talks to Avery Brooks, he talks to Kate Mulgrew, he talks to Quantum Leap.
Scott Bakula.
Scott Bakula, thank you. And like it's basically this weird kind of coming to grips with the fact that Star Trek has in a way defined his life. I'm talking about William Shatner, because for so long he sort of felt ashamed of it. But there were some amazing scenes in it. And yeah, Avery Brooks is on a whole new level. Like he's doing his thing, and it's pretty amazing.
Okay. I don't know what that means, but all right.
I can't actually describe how he presents himself on camera. You have to see it. You have to see it.
All right. But yeah, like, I guess the answer is that's not going to happen, for like a bunch of reasons. I did want to talk about the Picard show. It's been on my list for a while, but I keep not doing it because we have like other things to talk about.
Are you down for it, or are you against it?
I'm very much down for it.
I'm ready. Down for it.
I'm ready for more Picard.
Oh God.
Yeah. My biggest concern is I don't want to see the Picard from the television series or the movies. I want to see him much later in life. He has different opinions on things. I want to see how he has grown. Just like when we saw Spock in The Next Generation, he had like a different view of like how he should approach like logic and things like that. He was like logic. And it's like he was like, I spent all this time like obsessing over logic, but really the thing is the people are nice or something like that. The point is like
I want Scooby-Doo in space.
Wow.
No, I not really.
What? The point is, I want to see. I don't want it to be a rehash of the show because we already have the show. I want there to be something different, and I'm looking forward to that. So long as
I don't think Patrick Stewart would do it unless it was going to be something different. Honestly, at this point in time in his life. Like with all the work that he's done with regards to domestic abuse, I do not think that he would just come back and be like, "Yeah, okay, let's do it again."
Yeah. So basically, my point is, I don't want to be like the people who are upset that Luke Skywalker was different. I don't want to be like, that's not my Picard. It's like, it's fine. He's older now. He's going to be different. I'm a very different person than I was like 6 years ago.
Yeah.
It's fine. He's had it like, he's like a super old man now. He probably has like different opinions on shit.
He's had like 2 goddamn decades, pretty much.
Right, he might be like a shitty guy now, and like I wouldn't be like too like super enthusiastic about that, but I would be like, yeah, that makes sense. People get shittier when they get older. I believe that. That's why when like
Patrick Stewart has not gotten shittier as he got older. So.
That's true. That's true. But the point is like I have a sort of like a different opinion on Picard as he is portrayed in the movies. The movies are not good at all, and I'm not going to defend them. And the reason why he's kind of like shittier to other,
I like First Contact.
That's fine. That's the one that's like you can watch it. But like the reason he is like an action star and like kills a lot of people in the movies is because they're movies and they're action movies, and that's the actual reason why they are. But if you want a headcanon reason why Captain Picard is like a little more blasé with how he treats other people and other species, he's just older, and he's probably over it a little, like a lot of people do. Like, they get older and they join the Republican Party. I mean, like, I don't super like it, but like, I believe it. I'm not going to get angry about it now that I think of it that way. So that's it. We're kind of out of time. Any last thoughts?
My hands are sticky.
Great.
Yeah. Agreed.
They probably are. My last words are Star Trek the Animated Series sucks. I tried watching it for the first time. Basically, I've been like saving the animated series for years and years. For like a day where I'm like, you know what?
Let me get this straight, Leon. You saved Star Trek the Animated Series till now.
Yeah.
But you were like so scared to take on fucking Twin Peaks.
Well, that's for the same reason. Like I didn't want there to be no more David Lynch. I didn't want there to be no more Star Trek. So now that there's new Star Trek, I'm like, yeah. Now I'll just watch the animated series. You know, we have a lot more Star Trek coming. It's not going to be like sad when I finish the animated series. I tried watching it. It's bad. Oh my god. The writing itself isn't terrible, but it is visually awful.
Leon, and it was a fucking cartoon.
I know, but it was made by a bad animation house. It's not good. There is decent animation from that time. It is cheap as fuck and it is awful. I almost, for a while, somewhere in the middle of the second episode, I was like, maybe if I close my eyes and treat this like a radio drama, I can appreciate it more. But it's not set up like a radio drama. You have to watch it. There are visual things that happen that are not explained by a narrator. You have to watch the show. You can't treat it that way, or else you'll miss half of what is going on. So it's just unwatchable garbage. I will try to watch more of it, but like I've seen a few episodes, and one of the episodes is apparently the best one. It's trash. So I'm done.
You were fucking hilarious. I love you to death, Leon.
Fucking terrible. That's it. Let's leave. Right now.
The cops are coming for me.
Now that your rose